going back to the chain of events, I think that we can say followed the May 2023 media leaks and the revelation of the PRC interest in Michael Chong. One thing that we know happened was that Minister Mendicino issued a ministerial directive on threats to the security of Canada directed at parliamentarians. And when we spoke about that initiative in camera, you expressed some ambivalence towards the policy. And I'm wondering if you can tell us about that.
I have very little doubt that had there been genuine threats, or there had been deliberate threats direct threats, or is the word that CSIS used, direct threats to Michael Chong or his family, that information would have been elevated to at least the Minister of Public Safety, if not directly to my office, on threats to a parliamentarian. But in the messiness of having a criminal leak erroneous information to the media and the attention and worries that ensued, I asked Minister Mendicino to put out a clear directive that said if there's any threats to parliamentarians or their families, that should be automatically elevated, regardless of whether they are credible or single source or reliable or unreliable or not. We need to elevate the attention that is given to parliamentarians' safety. I don't know that it's entirely necessary, if I'm being honest. I have confidence that if there is a threat to a parliamentarian, CSIS and our NSIA and our security apparatus would take it very seriously and make sure there was awareness and follow-up on it. But in the moment, and to show Canadians how seriously we were taking this very serious issue, emitting this directive that said, yes, explicitly you have to do it, was a responsible step. I prefer to demonstrate confidence in the decision-making frame of intelligence agencies around how they elevate and how they evaluate information as, okay, this is really credible, we need to see this. This is not so credible, but let's let the local police of jurisdiction or let the RCMP know about this, or like they make determinations around where information should go and what should be done with it. Every day, all the time, on a whole bunch of different information, and being overly prescriptive is not the ideal way of doing things. But in this case, I think it was a fine thing to do.
Okay, that's fair. The next topic I want to ask you about then is providing classified information to about foreign interference, of course, to party leaders, leaders of political parties or cleared representatives of political parties, as the case may be. The first question I'll ask is fairly general, but when you as a party leader receive information about potential foreign interference happening within your own party, what can you do about it? What are the options available to you in such a scenario?
Well, there are many things I can do. If it comes early enough in the process, I can simply disallow a candidate from running for a nomination or to be a candidate in my political party. And a party leader, all party leaders have ultimate discretion because Elections Canada requires that the party leader signs off on every single one of the 338 candidates they can run across the country in an election. And withholding that signature from a particular candidate is one of the core responsibilities, or that signature is a core responsibility and powers of a party leader. And it happens at an early enough stage that if someone expresses even publicly that they want to run for the party and don't end up running for the party, there's not necessarily a scandal around them not running. There could be some sour grapes. There could be, I just had to decide to stick with, family was more important or anything. There's all sorts of face-saving ways in which if a leader quietly says, no, there have been concerns raised, you're not going to be able to run for us, but we don't need to talk about it publicly, you can go back to your life. That is a very effective way of having things done that don't require revealing of any classified information, but is based on intelligence that a leader can get. Once someone's an actual MP, a party leader cannot fire an MP. MPs were elected by Canadians. All a party leader can do is, at the largest level, remove them from their party caucus, have them sit as an independent, something that I've done many times for a range of different reasons around sexual misconduct or other things. That's the biggest tool a party leader has. But there's also other tools. If there is an allegation around, to use the National Security and Intelligence Advisor's words herself, around inappropriate behavior or poor judgment or untrustworthiness, as a party leader, I can decide which committees an individual sits on or doesn't sit on, whether I give them a critic role or a parliamentary secretary role or even a minister's role. We have many tools to respond depending on the seriousness of the allegation. If it's that they're overly friendly with a particular consul general, maybe we just say, yeah, you know what, you need to clean that up, and then maybe we can revisit a committee or parliamentary secretary role for you in a couple of years, or in a year if CSIS comes back and says, no, yeah, there's been no contact there or anything like that. There's lots of tools that a party leader can exert to counter real or risks of foreign interference in their party. But it requires the leader to actually be able to receive the classified information from the intelligence agencies to then turn around and take action on that.
Okay. On that topic, I'm going to ask you what happens when you receive intelligence about potential foreign interference having to do not with your own party, but with opposition parties. To do that, I'll ask the court registrar to pull up CAN 047007. So we'll just go through the document to situate us a little bit, and then I'll ask you to pull up a different one. So, Prime Minister, this is a memo for you from your NSIA in May 2024. You'll see what it says at the beginning of that summary is intelligence details alleged foreign interference activities in Canada directed at opposition parties. Given the serious nature of the allegations, PCO is working with CSIS to develop top secret level briefings for opposition parties on this intelligence, then speaks to various political parties and whether or not they have leaders who are security cleared. And then the last bullet there speaks to PCO sharing a protocol of regarding more regular classified briefings to recognize parties. If we can scroll down again, please. I'll tell you when to stop. Scroll through the background. I think we want to get to page 3. There we go. PCO comment there. So PCO notes that the informing the party leaders could allow them to identify the issues, take any necessary action, and then says an ad hoc approach of sharing intelligence is not ideal, and we should maybe think about doing something more systematic. So if we can take that document down now and put up WIT 164, paragraph 25. This is the publicly disclosable version of the conversation that was had in camera about this. So I'd like it up as a reference point. And I'll just ask you, Prime Minister, to take us through from your recollection what happened here, what the situation was, and what was done about it.
In paragraph 26, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. I received what I characterize here as explosive, certainly extremely alarming information around foreign interference into a particular political party. And I directed CSIS to try and, or the intelligence agencies to try and ensure that the opposition parties had the tools to respond to these allegations, or had at least the information that would allow them to do this. I have to be really careful about what I say here because this is all very, very sensitive, and even talking about which party these allegations aimed at is something I'm trying to avoid doing.
Fair enough. And I won't ask you many more questions about them because we are treading very thin lines here. The only thing I'll just sum up by saying, so essentially information came to your attention and it was through the system put to the right people in the right places.
I think it is perhaps useful to point out, we don't need to pull it up, but in the, well, two things. First of all, I'm Prime Minister, so I receive tremendous amount of classified information covering a broad range of individuals across this country, including in different political parties. But as leader of the Liberal Party, it is awkward, to say the least, to use a mild word, for me to be engaging in who should run or what consequences or who should be a critic or who should be in what position for an opposition party. So as you pointed out earlier, the answer was to offer classified briefings to all the leaders of the parties so that they could best be positioned to take the necessary actions to protect their MPs, some of whom might be vulnerable, some of whom might be witting or unwitting around foreign interference, and therefore demonstrate to Canadians that the integrity of their parties and the protection of their parties from federal foreign interference was done. And that was always my instinct. I shouldn't be, I can know about it. I don't act on that stuff because I don't believe in the partisan, using national security information for partisan purposes, nor should any Prime Minister. But informing the leader so they can take proper actions is, I think, the right way of doing things. Stepping away from this specific example, because I don't want to weigh into this
take it down.
Example. Because I am Prime Minister and privy to all these informations, I have the names of a number of parliamentarians, former parliamentarians and/or candidates in the Conservative Party of Canada who are engaged or at high risk of, or for whom there is clear intelligence around foreign interference. And I have directed CSIS and others to try and inform the Conservative Party leader to be warned and armed to be able to make decisions that protect the integrity of that party, of its members, from attempts at activities around foreign interference. And the decision by the leader of the Conservative Party to not get those classified briefings means that nobody in his party, not him, and nobody in a position of power knows the names of these individuals and can take appropriate action. It also means nobody's there to stand up for those individuals if the intelligence is shoddy or incomplete or just allegations from a single source. And that is something that, as you've seen, we are ready to question intelligence when it comes towards the Liberal Party members, because we need to make sure if you're going to end someone's career, you're doing it in a responsible way. The decision of the leader of the Conservative Party to not receive the necessary clearance to get those names and protect the integrity of his party is bewildering to me and entirely lacks common sense. Particularly when you look at the NSICOP report that clearly lays out, the public NSICOP report that clearly lays out that in both of the most recent Conservative leadership races, there was foreign interference. The fact that there seems to be absolutely no curiosity or openness in trying to figure out what happened or whether someone was compromised or whether a foreign country impacted those leadership races is simply irresponsible. The fact that we see, and I'm getting a little more partisan than I've tried to in this case, but it is so egregious to me that the leader of the official opposition, who is certainly trying very hard to become prime minister, is choosing to play partisan games with foreign interference and accusations on foreign interference, but not taking it the least bit serious as regards to his own responsibilities as party leader, or even to get top officials within his party briefed up as they bring on candidates from across the country, is inexplicable and, quite frankly, concerning. So stepping back from that, our recommendation, and certainly one of the things that is alluded to in some of these reports, and certainly the Commission's work can be, is to indicate that it would probably be pretty important that, as a matter of course, party leaders, certainly of the main political parties, maybe not the Marxist-Leninist candidate that runs against me every election in Papineau, but certainly the main political parties, be given security briefings and clearances that allow them to respond to the very real threats that we have seen of foreign interference in their parties, and that top officials at the party level, as Jeremy Broadhurst was by dint of his day job in my government outside of the campaign period, was able to take that information and discuss with me the consequences that should be meted out, or whether action should be taken or not. It is, I think, a vulnerability to foreign interference that we have as a democracy that some party leaders have decided not to get access to some names that would be very germane for them to at least know and understand the risks around.